Hi guys, welcome to our community. Today's video is about Vladimir Putin, the President of the Russian Federation. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, born on the 7th of October 1952, is a Russian politician and former intelligence officer. He has been serving as the President of Russia since 2012. Throughout his career, Putin has held various significant positions, including Prime Minister from 1999 to 2000, and from 2008 to 2012, as well as President from 2000 to 2008 and since 2012. His extensive experience and tenure in these roles have contributed to his influential role in Russian politics. Putin's career began as a KGB foreign intelligence officer, where he served for 16 years and rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel. He resigned in 1991 to pursue a political career in St. Petersburg, and later moved to Moscow in 1996 to join the administration of President Boris Yeltsin. Putin briefly served as the director of the Federal Security Service, FSB, and then as Secretary of the Security Council of Russia before becoming Prime Minister in August 1999. After Yeltsin's resignation, Putin became acting president and was elected to his first term as president in less than 4 months. He was re-elected in 2004 and, due to constitutional limitations, served as Prime Minister from 2008 to 2012 under Dmitry Medvedev. Putin returned to the presidency in 2012 and was re-elected in 2018. In April 2021, he signed into law constitutional amendments that included one allowing him to run for re-election twice more, potentially extending his presidency to 2036. During Putin's initial presidential tenure, the Russian economy experienced significant growth, with an average annual increase of 7%. This growth was primarily driven by economic reforms and a substantial rise in the price of oil and gas. Additionally, Putin played a crucial role in leading Russia's efforts to regain control over the Chechen region, successfully re-establishing federal authority. As Prime Minister under Medvedev, he also oversaw military operations against Georgia and implemented reforms within the military and police forces. In his third term as president, Russia annexed Crimea and supported a war in eastern Ukraine through various military incursions, resulting in international sanctions and a financial crisis within Russia. Furthermore, Putin authorized a military intervention in Syria to provide support to his ally Bashar al-Assad during the Syrian civil war, ultimately securing permanent naval bases in the eastern Mediterranean. In his fourth term, Putin initiated a significant invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, which received widespread international condemnation and led to the imposition of expanded sanctions. Subsequently, in September 2022, he announced a partial mobilization and forcibly annexed 4 Ukrainian oblasts into Russia. The International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Putin in March 2023, accusing him of war crimes related to alleged illegal child abductions during the conflict. Moreover, in June 2023, Putin successfully survived the Wagner Group rebellion. Under Putin's leadership, Russia has experienced a decline in democratic values and a shift towards authoritarianism. Throughout his rule, there has been a pervasive presence of corruption and numerous violations of human rights. These violations include the imprisonment and suppression of political opponents, as well as the intimidation and censorship of independent media within Russia. Additionally, the country has faced a lack of free and fair elections. Various international indices, such as Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index, The Economist Democracy Index, Freedom House's Freedom in the World Index, and the Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index, consistently rank Putin's Russia poorly. It is worth noting that Putin holds the record for being the longest-serving Russian president and the second longest-serving European president, with Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus being the only one to surpass him. President Putin was born in Leningrad, Soviet Union, now St. Petersburg, Russia. Vladimir Putin was the youngest of 3 children of Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin and Maria Ivanovna Putina, née Shelemova. Putin's grandfather, Spiridon Putin, was a personal cook to Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin. Unfortunately, Putin's birth was preceded by the deaths of 2 brothers. Albert, born in the 1930s, died in infancy, and Victor, born in 1940, died of diphtheria and starvation in 1942 during the siege of Leningrad by Nazi Germany's forces in World War II. Putin's parents had humble beginnings, with his mother working in a factory and his father serving in the Soviet Navy as a conscript in the submarine fleet in the early 1930s. During the early stage of Nazi German invasion of Soviet Union, his father served in the Destruction Battalion of the NKVD. Later, he was transferred to the regular army and was severely wounded in 1942. Putin's maternal grandmother was killed by the German occupiers of Tver region in 1941. And his maternal uncles disappeared on the Eastern Front during World War II. Putin began his education at school number 193 on September 1, 1960, which was located near his home on Boskov Lane. Despite being one of the few students in his class who were not yet members of the Young Pioneer organization, he quickly became involved in extracurricular activities such as Sambo and Judo. In his free time, Putin enjoyed reading the works of Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and Lenin. He later attended St. Petersburg High School 281, where he studied German and became fluent in both German and English. Putin went on to study law at Leningrad State University, where he wrote his thesis on the most favored nation trading principle in international law, and became a member of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, which he remained a member of until its dissolution in 1991. Anatoly Sobchak, an assistant professor specializing in business law, was introduced to Putin during their time in St. Petersburg. Sobchak would later go on to co-author the Russian Constitution and be involved in corruption schemes in France. Putin's influence played a significant role in Sobchak's career in St. Petersburg, while Sobchak's influence was equally important in shaping Putin's career in Moscow. In 1997, Putin achieved his PhD in economics from the St. Petersburg Mining University, focusing his thesis on the strategic planning of the mineral economy. In 1975, Putin began his career in the KGB and underwent training at the 401st KGB School in Okhta, Leningrad. Following his training, he was initially assigned to the 2nd Chief Directorate, specializing in counterintelligence. Later, he was transferred to the 1st Chief Directorate, where his responsibilities involved monitoring foreigners and consular officials in Leningrad. In order to further enhance his skills, Putin was then sent to Moscow in September 1984 to undergo additional training at the prestigious Yuri Andropov Red Banner Institute. While there have been reports suggesting that Putin was deployed to New Zealand by the KGB, these claims have not been officially confirmed by Russian security services. However, former Waitakere City Mayor Bob Harvey and former Prime Minister David Lang have alleged that Putin served in Wellington and Auckland during his time there. According to these accounts, he supposedly worked undercover as a Bata shoe salesman in central Wellington for a period of time. During the period from 1985 to 1990, Putin served in Dresden, East Germany, utilizing a cover identity as a translator. While stationed in Dresden, he worked as one of the KGB's liaison officers to the Stasi secret police and was allegedly promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel. The East German communist regime recognized Putin's faithful service to the National People's Army and awarded him a bronze medal. As stated on the official Kremlin presidential site, Putin has expressed satisfaction with his experiences in Dresden, recounting his encounters with anti-communist protesters in 1989 who sought to occupy Stasi buildings in the city. However, according to Masha Gessen's 2012 biography of Putin, he and his colleagues were primarily engaged in collecting press clippings, contributing to the KGB's vast amount of irrelevant information. Former Stasi spy chief Markus Wolf and Putin's former KGB colleague Vladimir Usoltsev downplayed Putin's work in Dresden. But journalist Catherine Belton suggests that this downplaying was a cover for his involvement in KGB coordination and support for the terrorist group Red Army faction, which frequently sought refuge in East Germany with the assistance of the Stasi. Dresden was chosen as a location due to its limited presence of Western intelligence services. According to an anonymous source claiming to be a former member of the Red Army faction, Putin was presented with a list of weapons during a meeting in Dresden, which were later delivered to the group in West Germany. Another individual, Klaus Sohold, who claimed to have been recruited by Putin, stated that Putin had dealings with a neo-Nazi named Rainer Sonntag and attempted to recruit the author of a study on poisons. Putin reportedly met with Germans who were being recruited for wireless communications activities, often accompanied by an interpreter. He was involved in wireless communications technologies in Southeast Asia, thanks to the recruitment of German engineers who traveled to those regions and to the West. In 2023, an investigation conducted by Der Spiegel revealed that the anonymous source mentioned in the previous statement was not a member of the RAF and was instead known for being a notorious fabulist with a history of making false statements. This information raises doubts about the credibility of the source and the accuracy of the claims made. Moving on to Putin's official biography, it is stated that during the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, he took it upon himself to save the files of the Soviet Cultural Center and the KGB villa in Dresden. The purpose of this action was to prevent demonstrators, including KGB and Stasi agents, from obtaining and destroying these files. Allegedly, Putin burned only the KGB files within a few hours while preserving the archives of the Soviet Cultural Center for the German authorities. However, the selection criteria for this burning process are not disclosed, leaving questions about the fate of other files from agencies such as the Stasi or those belonging to the German Democratic Republic and the USSR. Putin explained that the reason many documents were left in Germany was due to a furnace burst, but many documents from the KGB villa were sent to Moscow. After the collapse of the communist East German government, Putin made the decision to step down from active KGB service due to suspicions surrounding his loyalty during demonstrations in Dresden and earlier. Despite this, the KGB and the Soviet army continued to operate in eastern Germany. In early 1990, Putin returned to Leningrad and became a member of the active reserves. During this time, he worked for approximately 3 months with the International Affairs section of Leningrad State University, reporting to Vice-Rector Yuri Molchanov, while also focusing on his doctoral dissertation. His responsibilities included searching for potential KGB recruits, monitoring the student body, and re-establishing his relationship with his former professor, Anatoly Sobchak, who would soon become the mayor of Leningrad. Putin claims that he officially resigned from the KGB with the rank of lieutenant colonel on the 20th of August 1991, coinciding with the second day of the 1991 Soviet coup d'état attempt against Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev. Putin stated that he quickly made the decision to support one side of the coup, despite the difficulty of the choice due to his long-standing involvement with the organs. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey.